Well, hello and welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, brought to you by the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where they're open for business, serving hot, fresh food 24/7. Mon, how was your weekend?
It was good, DK. Finished celebrating the anniversary. All was well. I wasn't outside burning up to death. And today we got rain, so I'm all good.
Well, I was outside burning up to death, only it was in Denver, where we're a lot closer to the sun. And it felt like it. 103 degrees. I was out there for baseball. Just wow, what an experience.
I didn't think Denver did that. I heard it's just, okay, it can be hot, but then it'll start snowing.
Denver can do anything.
What?
It'll happen 5 minutes later. You'll get I've been there for snowfalls followed by glowing sunshine, and you just never know there. Let's talk some football here.
Let's go.
A week and a day until the Steelers report to Latrobe. And Mon, there's a lot of new faces that are going to be showing up in Latrobe, like a crazy number.
Yes, it is. I think from my perspective, as far as being on the team and being away for a couple of years now, I don't know if we've seen this many guys that's actually going to come in and play a role too. That's the difference. It's not just special team guys. It's not just guys that's the fourth or fifth wide receiver. These are guys that are potentially go into starting roles, man. Like, let's be honest. I think James Daniels, I think Mason Cole will end up starting on this offensive line, man, simply because their contracts say so. And just honestly, the quality of the players that they are. And let's be real, too. They could afford to pay these guys this year, which is out of I never saw Pittsburgh playing in free agency the way they did this year, and specifically in the offensive line.
When you say role, just so I clarify that for everybody else, because I know what you mean.
Yeah,
that also means not just starting; it also means like actual leadership roles. They're prominent people. They're not coming in and looking around for James Ferrier or Heath Miller to guide their way. You know what I mean? It's a different mindset. But yeah, they had a lot of money to spend, and that means you're going to have a lot of new faces. Who else we got here?
And
what
not
about
just
all the wide receivers?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Calvin Austin for sure. And of course, the guy that I know and love, George Pickens, and Miles Boykins too. I mean, you look at him getting out of Baltimore because why? They don't really throw the ball like that in Baltimore. And I know Lamar's been saying they're going to try to make that happen this year. But of course, with Greg Roman still being the OC, you just never know. So he gets an opportunity to come to a team that will throw the ball, likes to air the ball out. And you got a fast, speedy guy in Calvin Austin that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they gadget him around. And if, and I know you kind of brought this up a little bit earlier while we were talking before, if George Pickens can get healthy, if he's a one-trick pony like a Mike Wallace was in years past, then you have the ability to just put him and Chase Claypool on the outside edge, and it's almost like pick your poison. You can send one deep and send one on a deep crossing route. Like, that's what you can do in this offense, and they only need to do those one or two things throughout the year simply because Deontay is going to get 100-plus targets. Can we agree upon that?
Yes.
And I think the same thing goes to Chase Claypool too. Like, I don't know if he's going to get 100-plus targets, but he's maturing, and you kind of need him to be a focal point of the offense to the point of where it's like, use that tool of yours, your body, use that, man. And I'm kind of excited for it, but in the same sense, this is a stacked up wide receiver room, specifically because of the additions that they have too.
And notice that we're talking about the offense having all these new faces and didn't even mention that it's all new quarterbacks too. Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. I don't know if Mason Rudolph's still going to be there by the time the regular season starts, but you're most likely going to have new quarterbacks as well. Let's go to the defensive side. Yeah. I mean, Larry Ogunjobi up front. I mean, I don't know, Miles Jack, Levi Wallace. These are new starters. These are and like you said, in real roles, just like that.
And not just him, Montravius Adams also. Like, these are guys that were retained because they played good roles, and if they're not starters, they're going to play a good bit. Larry
Ogunjobi Witherspoon is another one too. I mean, he started for half the season, but this is different. You enter as a full season starter here.
And you almost forget, like, you legitimately almost forget that Miles Jack was signed to Pittsburgh, is signed to Pittsburgh, and he didn't sign as a role. He signed as a starter. He signed as a guy to, look, I'm going to reset my career in Pittsburgh, and what a better place considering we just talked about Brian Flores too. Heck, we're speaking about coaches as far as newcomers too, DK. Yeah. Like, this may, in my time, as far as me being embedded in Pittsburgh, where this is the first time we've had this much of a turnover. But I'll say this, though, I feel confident in the guys that they've signed simply because mostly have been proven in this league, or you trust their pedigree of guys that are also inside their room. Levi Wallace, playmaker, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's been solid. He's another guy that fortifies the outside a little bit. And, here again, the thing that jumps out about this, though, is look at these numbers. I mean, we didn't even come up with a formal count here or whatever, and we can't know who all is going to start because there's going to be battles in training camp and so forth. But it's a lot of new people, and this isn't a video game. You can't just make up a depth chart and say, go depth chart and beat the Bengals. It's got to come together, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And this is the biggest issue of it all. And it kind of goes to this. Throughout all of this change, one, we've never really had it to where it was a turnover. Like, this is a true turnover where it's like, all right, let's change the sheets. And in years past for us, we'd add guys, but the nucleus was always there. So the Pittsburgh way was always there too. I'm really interested in seeing this kind of evolve itself to where you realize those guys understand how Pittsburgh plays. I'll never forget, it was probably around 2012 where we may have went 0-4 in the preseason. And at that point, we had a conversation with each other. Maybe 2012, 2014 was like, look, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. We can't go 0-4 in the preseason. We got to go out there. Every game is a mission for us to get better. Like, that was a conversation. So I'm hoping at least, DK, that core of guys that is there, keep that standard. And I know the old cliche that Coach Tomlin has, the standard is the standard, but that's really the way the room has operated for years, man. And I feel like I know he will be enforcing that to the group, but I'm hoping that those guys, those newcomers, Larry Ogunjobi, James Daniels, Mason Cole, Levi Wallace, Miles Boykins, and just the young guys fall under that umbrella of, look, we play a style of ball here. When teams play us, we get a different team every single week. I told you before, it's been times we play sorry team, Jacksonville, when they were not the 2015 team. We played the Browns, We play Oakland, We go to the West Coast and lose to them because why? You reset your season if you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. No matter what, you go 1-15 or 1-16 now. But if you beat the Steelers, it does something for your fan bases. I've seen teams have parties literally because they beat us when they weren't supposed to. So with all these newcomers, DK, you know how I am about that team, about this team, and about that locker room. Keep that the same. That's the one thing that I'm asking for with all of these new, and I like these newcomers.
But the funny thing is, I can tell you this from spending some time with these guys in OTAs and minicamp, is that some of the guys who are new might be better equipped to lead than the guys who were here. Now, in the quarterback's case, that's obvious, but I'm talking about James Daniels on the offensive line. I'm talking about,
Mason Cole.
I'm talking Mason Cole. I'm talking about Miles Jack over Devin Bush.
Wow.
This is what I'm saying here. I think that it's going to be really, really interesting to see this team and how it comes together intangibly once we enter Latrobe. But when we come back, we're going to waste everybody's time by talking about ketchup bottles. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. At some point earlier today, over at Heinz Field or whatever they're calling it now,
Acrisure.
Okay, they took the ketchup bottles down as the cameras got over there. It's not something the Steelers announced. I don't even know that they wanted to call any attention to it, but there they were, and they're watching these ketchup bottles down, and people are having this reaction to it. Mon, did you ever look up at the ketchup bottles when you were playing? Did you ever go, oh yeah, the ketchup bottles?
DK, no, until it's in hindsight now. Though it's in Heinz sight now. Yeah,
it's in Acrisure sight.
Yeah, it never registered to me. I did know when we hit the red zone, the bottles would go down and the screen would turn red. But all I was worried about is let's score next. I never thought it was a sentimental thing until today. I will say that. I never saw it as a sentimental thing.
As someone who was there for the opening of Heinz Field and has covered probably every game or most every game that's been played there.
Yeah.
I never heard anybody say, "Oh yeah, but this is the place with the ketchup bottles." Like everyone just cares about it now so that they can find something to complain about. This was not a thing, Moan.
It wasn't. What's Heinz Field? Okay, it's the fans. It's Renegade. It's the terrible towel. And it's just, you don't know what it is about Heinz Field, but it just consumes you. It's by far, to me, one of the purest sports venues in all of sports, man. Just because it's so much history there, to your point, okay? And the part you don't say out loud is the home of bad grass and turf too. But we don't speak about that, okay?
They made it better.
They made it better. They have made it better.
Yeah.
I've heard players complain about it a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. I'll say this about those bottles. I don't know if they added filters to the video and pictures that I saw, but those bottles look a little spoiled, okay? That's not a bright red ketchup. That was like a dark brown ketchup, okay? Ketchup
that you leave in your refrigerator for like 7 months and you find it on the back of the bottom shelf.
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah, or it was left in the heat for too long.
Where you say, that's what it looks like. Or barbecue sauce? What is this? It's been crazy for me to hear over the past week or whatever, people getting all upset about this name or whatever. This wasn't Forbes Field that was sitting there for 60 years. Okay, you don't hear anybody say, like, I appreciate what you're saying about the way Heinz Field has been perceived over the years has been attached entirely to the success of the Steelers, to the fans, like you mentioned, that are packing the place and twirling the towels and all that, everything else that they do to make themselves up and whatever to come in there. And it's not the name of the place, and it's certainly not the freaking ketchup bottles.
No, it's not. I'd much rather have it called Acrisure Stadium instead of Crypto Stadium. Crypto.com Stadium. Like, to me, I'd rather sit on that. But again,
I just don't think it matters. You're changing from one sponsorship to another.
That's where I was going to go in the world of sports and just all kind of just cliches that people throw around and just how don't say this or don't do that. If they have an up and down season, don't blame it on the ketchup bottles not being there, okay? Of all the superstitions, I put my pants on right leg first. No. Look, we look at the product. The reason you come in there is because of the product of it, and it has been Heinz Field for a very long time. But on the business side of it, DK, because that's what's mattering right now as far as why they switched, right? Acrisure is a whole lot more profitable than what Heinz was actually paying for that namesake.
You know what I've never asked you in these years? Because I only ask this of defensive guys because Renegade is done for them.
Oh, yeah.
But I've never asked you about what your reaction is when you look around at 65,000 people doing that thing, and plus when the scoreboard gets dark.
Oh my gosh.
That matters. Matters.
It does. And you know what, from my perspective, because I hadn't been on the receiving end of Renegade, I just enjoy it the same way as the fans do. I've heard guys on the opposite end of that say, oh my gosh, don't let them play this bleeping song, because they know it's hell to pay. Again, for real, DK, please don't let them play this bleeping song. When that screen go black, it's almost like if Munch or anybody was talking to us, we're like, hey, stop. And we're looking at that screen, and seeing Troy fly through the air the way he does. You got to be there for a night or evening game when that's just really, and when they do the double and triple play of it, it's got to shake the grounds.
You know who my favorite Renegade guy ever was? And I used to tell him this on a regular basis, meaning he had the best reaction to, was Bud Dupree.
Oh, yeah.
Bud would lose his mind. You know what I'm talking about out there. He would just start straying from the pack, and he would just be looking around for somebody to hit. This is during the break. Okay? Bud, easy, man. It's just a song.
Yeah, it was. But when that screen just eases down to just darkness.
Yeah, it's a fade.
I don't care what adjustments we were making. It didn't matter, DK, because we knew the defense was going to do something. And I'd love to know the percentage, DK, if we ever had that type of stat line, okay? What was the success rate of when Renegade was played?
It hasn't always worked. And what happens is the cynics who don't appreciate how completely antiquated Pittsburgh's musical tastes are will say, why don't play that old rock song or whatever? Well, that's the same reason that WDVE is still the most popular radio station. And they're playing Ramon's favorite band, Foghat, around the clock. When we come back, it's the Hey Mon segment.
Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show, the point in the show in which everybody loves, except for today, is Hey DK.
Uh-oh.
Yes, that's the reaction I usually get. Yeah, okay. It's Hey DK because you brought up something at the end of the last segment, and I was like, what? Huh? What are we talking about again? I thought it was Foghat. Okay, you said no, it's Foghat.
Foghat.
Enlighten me, please. Look, if it's not gin and juice, Snoop Dogg, okay, Drake, okay, Jay-Z, enlighten me, DK.
Well, here's how it works. In the city of Pittsburgh, we are perpetually stuck in the year 1977, okay? It's just how we roll. And I'm talking about culturally in every possible way, and that includes music. There's a reason that WDVE is still the number one by a mile radio station in Pittsburgh. When you turn them on, they're still playing the same 31 songs.
Yeah.
And two of those songs are Foghat, Slow Ride and Fool for the City. Mostly Slow Ride, little bit of Fool. That's what you get here. This is Pittsburgh. Part of the reason I'm convinced that we never have moved past that year is Chuck Noll. We still quote Chuck Noll as if he were Socrates. And now I'm saying that with all due respect. He had some unbelievable lines about life and about football, but within the context of life. Act like you've been there. Like, whoa, you know?
Yeah.
Act like you've been there before when you celebrate a touchdown. I don't think we've ever really advanced much. Everyone, you heard it all the time when you were playing. What were all the comparisons? Oh, yeah, he reminds me of Mike Webster or whoever, you know?
That's so true. That Pittsburgh is a city full of history like that you can really just reach back and say this is directly what it is. But if you look at the way the team is kind of constructed too, DK, it's really kind of held its own shell too with that. A running back, a killer defense, and try to find that glorious quarterback. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And having some
shell? Is that what you said? Shell?
That's a shell.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's the same template. It's the same, other than, you don't have Franco and Rocky and two guys in the backfield, but it's the same shell. It's the same philosophy.
So the significance of Fool for the City, though, it didn't even chart that high, DK. It was 45 on the USA Hot 100. Was that because the tenure of winning Super Bowls in that era?
No,
is that why?
It's because the Hot 100 doesn't just reflect Pittsburgh, okay? The greatest rock musician of all time in the eyes of the city of Pittsburgh is still Donnie Iris, who's still cranking it, by the way, into his 70s. And it's the truth. It's the truth. We had Christina Aguilera come from here. We had Wiz Khalifa come from here. No one cares. Not around here. They became big somewhere else here. We've got Donnie. All right?
Yeah.
We are Donnie.
Oh, okay. I'm with it, DK, but it really baffles me. I mean, Mac Miller's from the city.
Mac Miller, I didn't even mention. Yeah.
I mean, and Wiz. I mean, he's just taking himself into a different era. I didn't realize you said Christina Aguilera.
Oh yeah, from Wexford.
What?
She was a child. A child. She was singing the national anthem at Penguins games.
So Foghat is in that same group with that group of Yinzers right there is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's like we play Stairway, we play Start Me Up, something. What's the Leonard Skinner? Sweet Home Alabama, and then we go right into Foghat.
We do nothing with Sweet Home Alabama. You know I'm a Tennessee guy. Don't do that one, okay?
All right,
but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. By the way, too, speaking of Wiz Khalifa and music, okay? Wiz Khalifa and music. I had a conversation with somebody recently that was just like, hey, what's the colors of Pittsburgh Steelers? It was like black and gold. It's like, no, that's the New Orleans Saints. I'm like, don't let Wiz Khalifa trick you into thinking that it's black and yellow.
He needed a rhyme.
Yeah, he needed a rhyme. Because people in Pittsburgh are no, sir. It is black and gold here, okay?
It's Pittsburgh gold. That's the other thing here. I know we're rambling all over the place here, but
but this is good. You're gaming me because it's Hey DK right now.
The thing is, it's not yellow. There's nothing about Pittsburgh gold that's yellow. Okay?
Yeah.
It's closer to like yellow, I don't know.
It's Pittsburgh yellow.
It's like a darker yellow or something. It's not quite yellow orange, but it's somewhere in that family, you know?
So my homework assignment now for tomorrow is go listen to Foghat.
Foghat. Fool for the City.
Fool for the City.
We'd play it right now for everybody, except that we'd violate all kinds of copyright rules.
Until the other day.
Want me to sing it? I get my guitar. I get my guitar and play it for you.
That's okay. I don't want to hear you breaking guitar strings either, DK. But I had never in my life heard of Foghat. I know that song, Take It Easy, Slow Ride, Take It Easy.
Yeah,
I never knew the artist behind it.
Yeah, now you know. But you know Slow Ride, though.
I do know Slow Ride, for sure.
Yeah, you can sing Slow Ride.
We might have a karaoke one night, and just for the heck of it, right at the shop. That's what we're doing.
You know, in fairness to the people who write and send in the Hey Moans, all we got from last Friday's show was all kinds of really, really nice stuff from people. No, and this is great. Okay, yeah. And there's one that I want to read here from Joel Anderson. This was under our YouTube video. Joel says, "I love this show. You guys are like my daily dose of what I need to survive for the day. When I wake up in the morning, it's my medicine." Ramon, on my way home from work here, I love you guys. Just wish you were on for the weekend. He says, "Of all the Steelers shows, you're the best, dude. We're not doing this 7 days a week. I can tell you that."
Thank you. Thank you for the compliment, but no thank you on that one. We will have recaps and everything else throughout the season, but that's neither here nor there right now.
Yeah, just remember this though. Whenever the football starts getting serious, and all these episodes are like real, like, all right, in the next segment, we're going to talk about what went wrong in the secondary, and we're going to get all serious about everything. Just remember that on Monday, July 18th, we did this completely frivolous episode. Make that work.
Let's do it again, DK.
You get the sign off. There you go.
And signing off. See you guys tomorrow.
All right.